Hello and welcome to Intellectual Property in the Plant Sciences, or IPPS, SCSE 640 within the Department of Soil and Crop Sciences here at Texas A&M University. My name is Russ Jessup. I'm the perennial grass breeder here in the department, and I'll be your instructor for this course. Uh, this is the video for the beginning or the introduction to the course, and these are specifically for the CEU version of the class, not the graduate student course credit. So if you found me and you're in the right place, it's great uh, to have you, and I thank you for taking the course. And I'm going to start this video really as trying to find where the resources are for the class. I should have emailed you the syllabus, and that syllabus is also available on this website. If you look in the syllabus, there are two links. One is simply a tiny URL forward that goes to the dedicated website for the class, and this is on a server in my lab, so it has somewhat of a strange full address, but it is an open access platform that we can restrict with passwords if I desire to, but it's a very effective method or platform to share the class content with you. Okay, so you can have the syllabus there as well, following this link on the very first page of that, as well as what I sent you via email. All right, everything you're going to need is on this website, and it is broken down into three modules. As you'll see on the left-hand side, they're broken down in a hierarchical fashion. And we're going to start with Module 1. There are 8 lectures in each of the 3 modules. Once we finish this, I'll load Module 2 and then successively Module 3 to finish out the course. Within each of these lecture folders, you can expand and click and find links to 3 things. You have the text version of the class in notes or PDFs. Okay, so you can click that and you will go to a PDF version of everything you see on the website. There's nothing that was not on the website in these PDFs. You can also click on the audio and video files, which are me talking over the video and trying to explain things, if you prefer an audio or video presentation of them. My only recommendation is if you're going to do these, please right click or hover over them and save them onto your computer and play them locally. Streaming them always has issues, no matter which platform I have them uploaded onto. Okay, so you have 3 versions of all the class content that you can download. You have the website with the content that you can browse by lecture, by date, and I'll typically release 2 of these a week. And if you look in the syllabus, you'll see it's basically 4 weeks per module. Everything is online, and I have exams or quizzes that'll be given totally asynchronous. They're on your own time. They're at 3 time points. They're all over a 3-day weekend or a 3-day period. I will send them to you via email, and you have 3 days to get them back to me, and I will give you an assessment of them after. Okay, passing or being satisfactory in each module is simply a 70 or more on those quizzes. Okay, in the syllabus you'll see the same modules and lectures that we have on the websites. All right, 8 per module, 24 total, and you have learning outcomes there as well. All right, so a general summary of the course: where to find things, how we'll have our quizzes in the syllabus, and again, you're welcome to call me, you're welcome to email, or you're welcome to find me on really the only messaging platform I use, which is Matrix. Matrix, again, is open source. This is an IP class. I try to focus on things that are open source, not proprietary, and things that we can keep confidential. We'll get into more of that as we get closer to the first exam in regards to things like Google Docs versus open source things. But if you would like, you're welcome to text me or message me via Matrix. I use an application called Riot. Here's the website for it. You can do this from your desktop or browser, or you can download it on Android or Apple devices, and I'll have my own alias there, which you can text me or message me, and I will respond, usually very quickly, but not instant. And I'm also going to have a room within this. This is not just a texting application. We can share files, we can actually have chats, we can have video conferences on this platform as well. But I'll have an IPPS room within my Matrix or my Riot, and I'll send you all the invitations to that. If you don't get an invitation from Riot from me, just let me know and I can send it again. But once you have that, you'll be able to see everything I have in this room, and you should be able to add your own content as well. Okay, so that's the basic frame of the course. So you have the syllabus, you have the website, you have the how to find me, which is critical for a distance course. Okay, all right. So to begin, this is the video for lecture one, and really it starts with the beginning of IP. And IP is again a product of the mind that can have value. So it's an intangible thought process that is manifested in intangible output, and it's given legal status in that domain. Okay, intellectual property rights, when you put the R on that term, is something that is granted to you if you are given some type of protection for that IP, and it's very specific to the country in which it is issued, as we'll see further in the course. Okay, but in general, the IPR is to prevent others from utilizing your technology or your IP without your permission. Okay, earliest forms of IP that we know of go back to the ancient Greeks with technologies. It flourished again after the Dark Ages in the Renaissance period, predominantly around craftsmen and guilds. And then after that, more so on the wine trade. Okay? Very things that are high value that you can have proprietary things you can capture. All right, in the U.S. As soon as the U.S. was made into a nation, we had our Constitution. Within that, we had a copyright clause. And the very first patents were actually issued in very short term. It's somewhat interesting to me that the first patents, if you blow up and look at it, it deals with potash or ash. It can be used as both a fertilizer or an ingredient in gunpowder, right? If you're familiar with that. So important items and technologies to develop them in regards to what are issued patents. Okay, patents or IPRs are by nature exclusive. They're not necessarily granting you rights; they're excluding others from having those rights. Okay, and they are a right to exclude others from using that technology. Okay, they're not rights to grant to you; they're rights of exclusion to others. Okay, the intended benefits of IPRs, or at least grants or patents, for the most part, are there to drive innovation, to drive incentives to spur that innovation, to drive investments into R&D, and to make them public after a time period. Right? Individuals in the industry are allowed to profit from them for a period of time. After that, they are meant or intended to become part of the public domain or public commons. Okay, for knowledge transfer in society as a whole. Okay, potential concerns with IPRs, and these are still in play today. Okay, with the exclusion of the restriction of technologies, you have the risk, in particular with agriculture, of limiting access to elite germplasm, and that can translate to food security risks. Okay, you can have centralized control, right, of entire market channels or pipelines around food or ag commodities. Okay, and again with IP, we tend to think of this as we'll say a culture, but that's the realm or the mindset of how we deal with our intellectual property, how we characterize it. And one of the best indexes I found is something referred to as a KEI. Okay, it's a knowledge economy index. It is the intersect of our knowledge and innovation and how it affects or is translated or manifested in the economy that we can actually apply metrics to. And as you can see, I've got a few quotes here, at least from prior presidents, stressing the fact that we are no longer in the Renaissance. We're no longer in the manufacturing age for the most part. We are in a transition between a service industries and intellectual property industries. Okay? Patents are critical across the entire span of markets that can be described. And I've got links here. You can go and find this index. It's updated occasionally. And the interesting thing for me, being a U.S. citizen, is that we have actually decreased in this ranking, right, several times in succession. And it really comes down to how well we handle our outputs from our innovations, right? We're becoming somewhat restrictive, at least in the world view, of some of our technologies. and that translates to a lower ranking in this system. And it really comes down to how IP is going to be handled as we go forward in a global stage. Okay. If you look specifically in the U.S. today, IP affects again almost every market that can be described, and there's actually a value added metric you can gain from that, right down to salaries. If you're becoming a plant breeder, if you have a working knowledge of IP, hopefully from this course, or at least a beginning nation form of that, if you develop that and follow that sector or that region within your company, you can actually have salary benefits. Okay, and for us in the world agrichem sectors, obviously you have a tend towards centralization of the seeds, the pesticides you apply to those, the equipment you use to plant them, and the amendments and fertilizers we apply to them. And again, I apologize, these notes are out of date by a year or two. We no longer have a big six, we're down to a big four on a global stage, right? With the Monsanto acquisition by Bayer and with the Dow DuPont merger. Okay, and these international corporations control a vast majority of market share, right? So these mega mergers are something that are critical to think about when you're exploring your options for careers, if you're a student, or if you're in careers, how you can utilize the IP in your breeding program. Okay? And again, to develop the IP, you've got to think about what innovations you have within your organization, how you can quantify and characterize those, how you can utilize the ones that are known, and how you can capture those that are not known, and how to protect them. And that's really the sum of this course, right? Trying to characterize those components. Okay. And within that, we're going to visit and discuss many of the forms that are used to protect your plant materials. And it's not as simple as simply saying you have a patent, right? What type of patent, what type of protection? Okay. You've got utility patents, design patents, plant variety patents, and we'll talk about how those are better utilized for different types of crops, different types of technologies embedded within those crops when we talk about GMOs in particular, and other types of protection that are not necessarily patent based, right? Copyrights, trademarks, trade secrets, and GIs. Okay. All right, so it's a quick summary of the first part of the course, first lecture of the first module, and I like to have additional references if you want to go a little deeper into some of these topics for some of our lectures. In this one, I have one. Okay, it's a basic overview of why you might need IPR. Okay. All right, that's it for lecture one. Thank you.